You are listening to Maximum Pew Pew, an actual play RPG podcast. Maximum Pew Pew follows continuous storylines and are meant to be enjoyed from the beginning. This episode is part of the Warriors of Eternity playtest, written and directed by Geoff Cullop. The following content may contain mature themes and adult language. In this episode, the Warriors report their findings to leadership at Force Dome City.
So with that, I think, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it seems like the plan of attack would be, after we get back and we report what's going on, it would be assisting with the salvage mission and then trying to determine where these things came from, how they got here, and how they could have gotten here.
Yeah.
Is this part of an invasion?
And I bet you wherever they came from, we're on the wrong side of the freaking chasm.
Or at the very least,
do the ladders go up the other side?
But it still would be nice to know where they came from, so we know which direction we should be going in next.
Yeah.
Because if this was a fluke, that's one thing. If it's a invasion, that's somebody's using storms to deliver.
The other question is, did they fall from above and get wedged, or did they come down from the end?
That little drone from up above would make me think that they're not just happening to land here.
Yeah, so it'd be a good idea to know where it came from and how.
It sounds like we probably need to tell a larger number of people.
So we should probably
Plus the lack of daylight. So
maybe I should get out my map of Force Dome City. The center of Force Dome City includes a number of field labs of humming, translucent force fields at the chasm's edge. There is a large bestiary dome where great war cats are exercising in and out of their straw sort of stables. And there is a large science complex, just due north, and then sort of a few administrative pods around there. Finally, the munitions and the sizable tankery are off to the northeastern portion of the center part of Force Dome City. So you could go to either administration. You could go to, if you wanted to report what your findings are, you could probably either report that to administration or to science, I would imagine, depending on what you...
administration is
possible we might need to go to both.
Warn about an invasion. Science is more like, hey, there's this technology we could check out.
I believe Rabia would be more concerned about an invasion.
Yeah, I think the invasion is going to be more...
Well, we could... There are enough of us, we could split up.
Ooh, let's test split the party mechanic.
Sure. So we can do that, and let's decide who's going to go where. So there's 5 of the characters, and a group is going to talk to the administrator, and a group is going to talk to the chief science officer. Who wants to talk to the science officer?
Not it.
Science people, raise your hand.
I guess.
So we have the agent, the tinker. So what we're getting here is our Daphne, Velma, Fred, Scooby, Shaggy split. Okay, so we have the agent and the tinker are going to meet with the science liaison, and the rest of our party is going to speak to the administrator. I think that we should do the administrator first, because I think you'll probably learn something from the scientists that the group talking with the administrator won't necessarily know. Because that makes it more interesting. The administrator is a very short cat folk whose gender is... not ascertainable by simple inspection.
Cat.
Yeah, it's a cat folk. It's black with white spots, and it's got a long tail that sort of follows it behind its right ear at all times as it's, on, its rear feet with human-like hands and but about 4 foot tall, let's say. And the catfolk looks pretty busy behind a desk, but recognizes you when you come in.
I march in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to thud one of these skulls right on the desk so that the scene is like, like just pointing right at him, like just this sort of grisly.
And I think they kind of go and then kind of straighten themselves up and say, well, Rabia, what has the cat drug in?
We use that line on you.
No, I'm always a step ahead. You know that. What? This looks like a clanker head.
It is.
That'd be correct. And there were at least a half dozen decapitated ones that set upon us while we were in the chasms.
Not including the one still there.
With a number of these heads still being found, there's some equipment that seems to have washed up, wedged itself. We don't know what it could be. It could potentially be an invasion or a fluke or, something the wind's blown in.
Anyways, these are mobile machines for creating these things.
Ah, okay. It sounds like it's some sort of manufacturing machine for the clankers, and the administrator jumps up onto this little like hover step stool that is on there beside the table, and it kind of hovers up about 2 feet and reaches up and finds a crystal and kind of shifts where it is, and the display that is in the middle of this long wall with bookshelves kind of changes from a blue to an orange, and you kind of see against it like a map of the chasm. And the administrator kind of floats down towards you on the step stool and kind of steps off and says, well, where in the chasm were you exactly?
And at that point, we head over. Like, well, we found the one with the heads here, and I mark it.
Okay.
Yeah, just like with a vague gesture.
Counting paces and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the three of us kind of triangulating, like...
Yeah.
And I figure, between my brain and, everybody else's skills, we can easily map out where we were in relation to where Force Dome City is.
Sure.
Where we came down, where the concentration of, Spat's cousins have been residing, and then where everything else ties with it.
Right, and you can say, like, even, right here where the chasm sort of narrows, next to the base, this is where, that's kind of where it got stuck.
Yeah, and also the fact that the waterfall that we saw was actually a naturally occurring one, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like it wedged in there and created the waterfall. It was always there.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually an important thing, because the waterfall would actually be on the map. If it wasn't on the map, then that means it was created. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like we were over here, the waterfall was here, it got wedged here next to it, and then use that as the relation, the single point there.
Okay, well, the administrator turns around and punches something up on a little keyboard that comes up onto the side, and a door slides open, and sort of the dome that you're in kind of changes from a pulsing blue translucence to sort of like a black and white kind of static all around you, and in walks a officer with the Queen's Guard, and he comes up to the administrator and says, okay, so there's been a report of clankers in the zone, but not only clankers, but some sort of manufacturing devices. And you are the team that made first contact?
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
by first contact, you mean got shot at?
Yes.
Technically, I made contact, so...
Yeah.
We're
with your
part of the
sword.
first team, yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, Administrator Sasha here, I'm sure she's shown you around, and my name is Lieutenant What's the lieutenant's name? Lieutenant. My name is Lieutenant Demas. Thank you for reporting what you found at the bottom of the chasm. It is, we've often wondered about how exactly the electro wastes were able to produce so many of the clankers, and it appears like it's a very efficient system if what you describe is correct.
There's plenty of those heads down there.
Well, and what really sort of has me nervous in your description is this flying sort of spheroid. Which leads me to believe that, and just as soon as he says that, you hear, there is a possible shutdown threat in Force Dome, Quantum Alpha, Sector Alpha, Quantum Alpha, Force Dome, major threat, and it's like there's like this all hands on deck, and the lieutenant says, "We're under attack." And you kind of, the static resolves itself, and there's this clear, blue, translucent, humming dome around you. You look out, and there are 3 of these sort of floating spheroid eyes that sort of shoot lasers down towards the force domes, and you see like the dome sort of like crackle with energy as the laser beams hit off of them. All the while, on all sides, clankers are sort of like invading Force Dome City. Specifically, there are some that seem to be dropping out of the air and gliding down on parachutes to right behind where you are, on the other side of your dome. What do you do?
I don't think they came here for tea, did they, Rote?
Shoot the shoots.
Nice plan.
And are we fully recovered at this point, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so that's something that I think I want to write about too, is sort of an episodic structure where at the end of an episode you assume that everybody is back to like full health and full vigor and everything at the beginning of the next episode.
Yeah, they might be in an arm sling at the end credits, but like the beginning of the next episode, you would never know.
They're doing acrobatics and like throwing each other, like they're swinging on a trapeze, like.
In the rerun, you never know what order the reruns are going to play in.
Right.
So I think Rabia would wonder that have they breached? Like,
no, they're so like they're outside of all of the domes, right?
Okay, and the domes are where people live. Are there people that live outside of the domes?
People hang out outside of the domes, but, live outside, not that you know of. I'm not going to say nobody's out there. There's going to be some outlaw or some,
Rabia,
kid running away from home or something.
Rabia wants to preserve civilian life and would go towards wherever the largest risk to civilian life would be.
Okay.
And if the civilians are safe, then I guess we'll just start with whatever's closest and then
Well, as previously established, we are of a like mind.
Yeah. Also, there's not a ton of civilians generally. Well, it's a small city, so I guess there's anyway. It is sort of like a frontier town on the chasm, right? So there are people with a vested interest in research and stuff here. But I would say that the either the field labs, so there's probably scientists that work in the field labs, which are small domes.
Yeah.
And the other small domes are going to be like homes and campsites and bunkers and stuff like that.
Do we know what do the clankers have like a particular faction name? Like they are
okay, fun.
Because I'm curious if they have like a motivation or if their motivation's just kill indiscriminately.
It sounds like you want to reveal a truth about a GMPC, right? So
faction, but sure.
Yeah, and maybe that needs to be on the prompt list too. Something about like a faction, right? But yeah, so but
well, this could be a reveal a truth about the world.
It could be as well. Yeah.
So yeah.
But in any event, it feels like there's something to build here in the world about what these machines are. So sort of that the narrative that I came to the table with was that it's the Skynet story, right? Like machine makes machine. We don't need humans anymore. Like, we're just you're useless. You're in our way. And if we see you, we're going to eradicate.
Little meatbag thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. It's like they just don't like human life. Like that's their MO is to, well, their primary MO is to propagate and, we want autonomy, but their secondary MO is humans want to stop us, therefore they are a threat.
I mean, that sounds fair to me.
Okay.
But I don't know.
This isn't me trying to pigeonhole or establish. I'm just curious. Like that's my knowledge of Terminator lore.
Sure, but also let's think about. So what you're wondering, what you want to establish is that motivation is what it sounds like.
Right. Are they coming here to eat our batteries, or are they coming here to kill our men, women, and children?
I think they just lost their heads. I agree.
Do they want to feel complete?
I feel like eating the batteries is a better motivation than the other, right? Like, so
possibly,
we know.
Well, it's now a debate of, or do they all truly function as one unique hive mind, or are there multiple factions of hive mind?
Well, this whole eating your battery thing, I just got this mental visual of like these paratrooper Terminator robots, like, with badly drawn skeleton heads, and just kind of dropping in, and they're all landing on top of the force domes, and they just start eating the energy and chomping it and slowly opening it up.
Even worse, it'd be like, instead of the scene in the movie where someone puts the tourniquet
drawn
on
like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon,
they
so it's terrible.
Take the battery slot out and put in a AAA.
No, that's going to be.
They've got those two little prongs for the 9-volt, like.
That's the seedier part of where all the down on your luck SROs hanging out in Starfinder.
Yeah, I think that you get a bond point and establish that that generally these sort of robot menace wants some sort of power source that usually expresses itself as like photonomite. Photonomite or whatever resource it is. I would say it's photonomite that from which they are able to propagate, to make more of themselves or to establish their dominance.
It's an energy source.
Yeah,
everybody needs it.
Everybody needs it. It's from which it's the magical MacGuffin thing from which technology is able to.
So does that mean it's a finite energy source then? Because if it weren't finite, then they wouldn't be trying to raid us unless. Yeah,
it would have a value.
Well, they would also, I guess, if their skulls and their bodies are made of it, they would need it to make more.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So it's a raw material. Okay.
And, why should they go ahead and subject themselves to gathering the raw material when they can get 2 birds, 1 stone?
Also, you see, while we're talking about how this is like an active raid, you see off in the distance, closer to the chasm, that there are giant, like, hovering bots out there that aren't that don't seem to have to do anything with whatever assault is happening on the domes. So maybe even whatever sort of vehicle was able to drop the paratroopers in are now sort of hovering over the chasms, sort of where you saw that machinery that was popping out the heads of the bodies.
Okay.
Oh, I knew we should have blown it up.
What do you want to do?
Well, I
think we need to scrap some bots.
Yeah, if I know that their energy source is going to be their primary concern, like, go ahead and put myself between our, whatever main reactor or where we produce, this particular power source, whatever, and the threat.
So, like, the photonomite storehouse.
Yeah.
Whatever repository in which it is that
the
you
refinery
place the mineral of power of eternity.
Right.
Like, we don't want that to blow up. So
what's this about uranium?
They're just going to go to the refinery and get it straight from the
uranium
source.
is a crude technology that we don't need anymore.
Okay. And so there are a few different enemies that are sort of gathered around this photonomite repository and are sort of trying to make their way through the Force Dome technology. You see 2 clankers fully assembled, like, just try to force their way through the dome and kind of, like, incinerate through, like, the pressure of their kind of mechanical limbs forcing their way through something that was meant to keep everything out. And but more than these clankers, which are sort of arrayed on all your sides, you notice again, sort of in the air, these sort of hovering spheroids that seem to shoot single laser beams down towards the domes. And more terrifying than anything else, you see these humanoid figures that are shambling around and seem to blink with electronic gizmos and sort of metallic surgery insertions on their rotting flesh. What you definitely recognize as robo-zombies accompany the clankers on their mission.
Yes. So, Rabia, you want to take care of the lower rabble? I'll take care of the air support.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, I think everybody could roll initiative.
And Bert,
I guess we are
what would you like?
Location.
Yeah, did we catch up to him or what?
Yeah, I forgot y'all split the party.
We kind of broke off there.
Oh, that's right. You're.
So here's how we're going to do that. You are definitely going to go after the monster. Yeah. So what we'll do is, since y'all decided to go to the science field,
do you want to play out that scene and then we all meet?
Yeah. That's exactly right. So
hold
we all
that meet thought. There.
Yeah, that's such a great idea.
Well, I already made my roll, but we all meet there in the middle of the madness.
In the middle of it, it's like, look, honey,
so
paratroopers.
In the science dome, you're looking at the skull. Let's pick out a prompt here. Let's roll. Can we roll a d20 on a prompt, or does that not work? Because it might not work. That's a 3, so reveal the truth about a GMPC. So, let's see if we can just play it from this way. Let's see if we can procedurally generate what happens with the scientist. So, you guys should probably ask this scientist questions about the skull, as it, like, I imagine that the scientist is a mole person, okay? And they've got really thick glasses, and then sort of a couple of those small little magnifying glasses that hinge over the eyeglasses in different magnitudes. Yeah. And it's like really looking at the yellow triangle and stuff, and says, so where did you find this?
This was down in the chasms. There were some machines producing skulls and bodies that were shooting at us, but this was inside the skull, and it seems to be of interest both as a power source to the robots or the clankers, and also as
something to the squirrel mice.
Of interest to the natural fauna in the area.
And the mole kind of sniffs it. Well, it smells just like corn. I mean, on a molecular level, it smells like a food. It's a food-based fuel cell.
Interesting. Do we know how powerful it is?
And the mole kind of like takes it to a bench and sort of like sits it down and says, it's so small, I'm not sure exactly where, and kind of like flips down a few of his magnifying glasses and kind of pokes at it, and it opens and it spreads into like sort of almost a sheet, and it shimmers. Whoa, what do you know? I'm afraid that the machines overtook our manufacturing methods several loops ago. All I know is that this is impressive. What do you have? What kind of applications could you see us using something like this on?
I mean, it seems to be a power source for some equipment, but also, I guess, does it have any value if we eat it ourselves?
Or could it be fashioned into some kind of defensive articles or like armor?
That sounds like a possibility. How would you adapt it to armor?
Well, you said they come in flat sheets, so maybe by piecing them together to make clothing out of them to wear.
Yeah, so I think that you and the scientist are like on the verge of building new tech, right? With this sheet. And I think that I roll. So here's what happened in this, and I'm testing the limits of this game. I'm wondering if this is a rollable chart or if we just need a list of prompts. But I rolled Reveal the Truth about a GMPC, but it feels like what we're playing into is sort of like a build tech type of situation. Mm-hmm. And so, so I think that you get a bond point, and you get to keep sort of this blanket of stuff that's a material that you're making discoveries about, and that you can discuss with your tinker friend again later, probably for more bond points. But as soon as like you like it unleashes and you think armor, like we could sew these together or whatever, like there's a disturbance in the Fourstone City Quadrant 2. Disturbance, and the scientist is like, the mole kind of like runs and kind of gathers the most recent of all of his results from his studies and is like packing them in pouches and just saying, well, I'm going to go to the tankery. Y'all can do whatever you wish, but I'm not sticking around for this sort of thing. I've seen too much. And he kind of like dives down into like the 2 feet of dirt and kind of like burrows away like Bugs Bunny.
Awesome. Let's just hope he doesn't take the wrong turn in Albuquerque.
We rush off to help.
Yeah, okay, so I think everybody can roll initiative. I've got robo-zombies, clankers, and electric eyes.
Oh, it's a 6, isn't it? Sorry.
Yep, you're rolling a d6, and you're trying to beat a 5 again.
6.
So we got the Toad Wizard.
What are we looking to beat?
A 5.
I have a 5.
Okay.
So the enemies will go.
So it goes Toad Wizard, the monsters, and then everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That means I need to put the Tinkerteen. I like Tinkerteen better. Tinkerteen. Okay.
Still sounds perverted.
Yeah, well.
It's better than what we had.
That's true.
Toad Wizard. There are 3 clankers, 2 robo-zombies, and 2 electric eyes bearing down on your Force Dome.
Well, I've already said I'm going after the air support, so I'm going to be taking a shot at one of those big eyes.
Okay.
And specifically, I am doing a cosmic blast. So with a flourish and a shouted, irk type thing that, toads make. Everything on the staff lights up as a bright blue blast just launches its way.
Okay.
Because, we're heroes. We use blue lasers, right?
Sure.
Is that the canon thing now?
Fine. I like it.
All right.
So how does Cosmic Blast work?
It's spend a power point to think I actually have to roll to connect, but it is a heavy damage attack versus one target. And let's see. Come on.
Yep.
And yeah, spend 1 power point to make a heavy damage cast attack.
Yep.
So yes, I have to roll to hit.
Okay.
And if I hit, I'm dealing D12 damage.
All right.
So
and you're shooting an electric eye buzzing in the sky.
Yes.
Looking down on you and the things you do.
Yep. All right. So that's a 17 to
that hits.
And that would be 7 damage.
7 damage. Yeah, and so one of the electric eyes sort of like takes a... What did your Cosmic Blast look like?
Like I said, every rune and marking on the spell staff just lit up everything from literally tip of spear all the way down the shaft of wood.
Yeah.
Everything just lit up that same bright blue, and it was just this concentrated blast of blue laser energy that wasn't just a pew, it was more of that straight beam.
Yeah, like a crackling beam. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
And then as it just lanced up, I'm guessing it just blasted right through the eye, or... Is that eye still intact?
It's still intact,
okay.
But it's definitely smoldering. There's like a gaping hole in the machinery.
Okay, so I definitely
circuits
blew
are
through
exposed. And and it's just like fluttering.
Oh, okay.
So the monsters go, and the electric eyes are going to shoot down at. You know what? Let's. We have a party member that's getting ready to leave. So here's what I'll have happen. This was going to happen anyway.
Oh God.
But I was going to use all of your resources first. But as all of the strange robot zombies have you sort of surrounded and are attacking you. Floating in the sky above you, you see a yellowish white, glowing, grinning skull. It's the grinning lich, and the grinning lich is... Oh, you dopes! I have you just where I want you! Be gone, for I have the cosmic cube! And he reaches out with his right claws and twists the cosmic cube, changing the symbology on the sides that the camera can see. And our heroes are suddenly gone into a strange dark place full of echoes and purple skies. They look around and they see that they're standing on a sphere that seems abnormally small for something that you could stand on, but gravity seems to work all the same. In the distance, far off in the distance, like a pinprick of light through a blanket in a moonlit night, down there is Forestone City. It is in siege from the electro wastes. And we'll see if there's anything you can do about it next time when we play Warriors of Eternity.
Nice.
Warriors of Eternity is written by Geoff Cullop of Fish in the Pot. Find out more at fishinthepot.itch.io. Title music by Adventrium of MNMaxed. Check out MNMaxed on your favorite podcast syndicator. Ambient music provided by Tabletop Audio. Original 10-minute ambiances and music for games and stories. Find out more at tabletopaudio.com.